Hey there, welcome back to Feast and Farm Cooks. My name is Rachel Ballard, and this is the channel where I teach you to cook more from scratch so you can eat less junk. And we're doing that today with the next installment in our junk food remake series, and we're making frosted strawberry Pop-Tarts. Now, I can't tell you that they taste exactly like little cardboard treats from the store, but they're better. So if you've got the time to invest in these, it's really not that hard. You can make a big batch, you could freeze them, you can just keep them in the fridge and everybody can warm them up as they need them. It's worth the effort if you ask me. So here's what you're gonna need to put the crust together. We've got a couple of cups of all-purpose flour, some salt and sugar, an egg, a couple of tablespoons of milk, and a whole lot of butter. Now, this is a stick and a half of unsalted cold butter that I have grated with a box grater. My hands get so tired when I'm trying to break up all those little chunks of butter. So if you want to grate or to do it with your hands in little chunks, you can do that, but the grater is just so much easier for me. So I have that all grated up. Now, into our bowl back here in the back, we are going to add our flour. Make sure you can see. And then we're gonna put our butter in. Now, because this butter has been broken up so much, it is gonna soften really, really quickly, but we're gonna put this crust into the refrigerator to chill in just a minute. So get the majority of that out. And you wanna toss it in the flour, just as you would if you were cutting it in with forks or a pastry blender or anything like that. And like I said, you're welcome to use that method if that works for you. This is just so much faster and simpler. Okay, so I've got that butter in there. I'm just kind of making sure I don't have any huge chunks that kind of sat there and got stuck to each other. And now we will add the rest of our dry ingredients. So our salt and our sugar will go in. And I'll just lightly mix that in with my fingers, just to get it distributed. And then we're gonna do our egg and our milk. This crust is a little bit stiffer than a pie crust. It's a little less flaky than a homemade pie crust. And that's okay. We want it to be that way because it's gotta be able to hold up to those fillings in the oven. So I'm gonna beat up my egg just a little bit and we're gonna put that in. And then we're just gonna stir it together. We just want it to form a ball. Now, if yours looks a little dry, you can always add just a couple tablespoons more milk or even a little bit of water until it just holds together. And it looks like mine's gonna need just a little bit. You can see it's kind of crumbly and you'll think it's not gonna come together. You can work with it a little bit and see if it will, but mine needs a little bit of milk. So let me grab some, be right back. So what I've got here, it's kind of coming together. You can see you can form it and make it hold its shape now. So what we're gonna do with it is put it in to some plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator, and let it chill for 30 minutes. Once it's chilled, we'll be able to roll it out. Don't try to roll this. And also don't try to get your plastic wrap out of the box like this. Don't try to roll this out while it's warm, okay? You need that butter to really firm up. So I'm gonna wrap this, put it in the fridge, be back in 30 minutes to show you how to cut out your Pop-Tarts and how the filling should go. Be back in just a little bit. The chilled dough is ready to be rolled out, so we'll move on to that now. Before we do, I should probably show you the strawberries. So just about every recipe for these that I saw used strawberry jam, and you are welcome to go there if you want to. I just felt like it didn't have enough bold strawberry flavor, and that's what we were really going for. So here's what I came up with. These are freeze-dried strawberries. So I got these at my local Aldi store. They were like $2.99, and there are 1.2 ounces in this bag. They were pretty affordable. These are organic. You can get organic or not. It doesn't matter. Whatever you feel like is right for you is fine with me. So I took one bag of these and I poured over a half a cup of boiling water. And then I let that sit for about 30 minutes. And then in my food processor, I just blended it all up. So the seeds are still in there, but it's thicker and it's just strawberries. And we're gonna work with our dough a little bit here. Put a little flour out. We're gonna roll an 18 by 24 rectangle thereabouts. Now, if you're a perfectionist like I am, you'll be like, this has gotta be perfect, because that's just how I am in my head. But what we're gonna do is just try to get this so that we have tops and bottoms that are even size, right? So I'm gonna work this out, and when I get it there, I'll be back to show you what it looks like. I've got my rectangle of dough out here, and my math skills are sometimes questionable. We're going for 3 by 4 inch rectangles. But what I say works sometimes is to get yourself a rectangle and cut that sucker right down the middle. And then cut yourself some extra pieces that'll go, and then they can just be mirror images of each other. That'll work. like, I don't know, sometimes my math skills are not always what they ought to be. So let's see how many we get out of this. Make them any size that works for you all. If you've got little kids and they're not going to eat a huge one, just make them smaller ones. Now I'm going to take this extra dough and I'm going to re-roll this one time. If you roll it any more than that, you're likely to make your crust kind of tough. So you've got to be careful with that. So I'm going to work with the 4 that I have right here, and then this will make probably another 4 when I'm ready to do those. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lift these and make sure they're not totally stuck to my countertop before I keep going. And if they are, take your trusty Rada spatula. If you don't have one of these, or a bench scraper, they are so great. They just get up underneath everything. So I'm going to loosen these. If this is not the picture of imperfection, I don't know what is. Go with it. I promise I've made these before. I promise I have. Okay, now we've got to egg wash the bottom. So over here I've got just a little bit of egg and water that I've mixed together, and that's just to kind of seal the bottom and keep the juices from kind of seeping out. The dried strawberries are going to help tremendously with any extra liquid coming out, but if you have some, this will help seal it. And I'm going to take that all the way to the edge. So brush it all the way to the edge. And then we'll just add a couple, I don't know, teaspoon maybe. You don't want to do a whole lot. You get really tempted to overfill these. I love strawberry as much as the next man, but we just can't put too much in here. So that's probably, I'm going to play with this here as we go. What was that, half a tablespoon? Probably. It's not quite a tablespoon. But just leave a border and just, I mean, you can do a little extra, I guess. Just eyeball it until you get it where it looks right. I love how bright red that is. It's so pretty. Now, we're going to seal this, put the top on, press that down, and then I've got a fork. Oh, it's in my strawberries. I am a hot mess express today, guys. I don't know what's going on. Dip it in a little bit of flour, and then come around the edges and just press those in to seal it so that you get a nice seal all the way around. And we'll go around all sides. And I see that I have a little crack in the top of mine right there. I'm just going to try to pinch that shut. If it oozes a little bit, it'll be okay. Now I'm going to transfer this over to my cookie sheet. And I'm going to repeat that process, and then we'll move to the next step. So I'll be back in just a second. So try as I may, I got 7 Pop-Tarts from my batch of dough there. So whatever you get out of yours is fine. And then true to form, we need to make those poke holes in the top of each one. So we're going to do that, just a few, just to make them look like the originals. Give them some way to vent some of that steam as it comes out, because they will have a little bit. And then finally, one last little brush of egg wash over the top, just lightly. It helps it color, it helps it with crispiness, and they'll be ready for the refrigerator, and they'll stay in the fridge for 30 minutes just to, again, chill that dough down. And then we will go into a 375-degree oven for about 20 minutes or so until they're golden brown and puffed up a little bit, and hopefully not oozing all of their insides out all over your stove. Make sure you use a rimmed baking sheet for this. And when they're all done, I'll be back to show you how to put a simple frosting on them and store them for later. So I'll see you in a little bit. We've got Pop-Tarts all done. They've in the oven about 25 to 30 minutes or so until they were just beautiful and golden brown. And let's make the frosting, and then I'll show you how to finish them off. So in this bowl, I've got about, I don't know, 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. I've got a little bit of vanilla and some milk, and then I have some naturally colored sprinkles. You'll never hear me tell you to use anything synthetically colored. If you haven't seen the story about that, I'll leave it for you right here. But these are natural ones, and these are give a little jazz up to everything. So when you introduce your kids to something different, they'll go, oh, this is pretty, maybe I'll eat it. I know, it takes time, guys. Be patient with your kids. So add the vanilla in, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of milk at a time. You don't want a glaze here, you want an actual frosting, right? So we wanna make sure that we don't make something that's too thin and it runs off of your Pop-Tarts. So I'm just gonna stir this. You could use any kind of extract in these that you like. So maybe if you did chocolate in the filling, you could do a little bit of orange extract or coconut in your frosting. That would be really nice. So I'm kind of to here. It's pretty thick. That's gonna work because you want it to stay on. So let's pull these beautiful Pop-Tarts over. And they're still slightly warm, so it's gonna kind of ooze a little bit, but you can see how they look. Aren't they pretty? They're nice and flaky. They're so light. You can see all the flakes in the dough. Just awesome. It's great stuff. Okay, let's add just a little bit. It'll take, you know, just a half a tablespoon or so. Put it on there. Use 2 hands unless you're more coordinated than I am. And just a little spread. You don't want to, I don't want mine totally coated in frosting, but if you want yours totally coated, go for it. It'll kind of spread and ooze around, and you can spread it some more if you need to. And then just take a few of your sprinkles. My daughter was so excited when I found these in the store. I will leave you a link to these if you can't get them where you are. I found these in my local Meijer store, so shout out to Meijer for carrying such products. They're hard to find if in small stores, but I'll leave you a link on Amazon so you can find them there if you'd like to. Now, if that doesn't say party in your mouth, looky there, I don't know what does. Let's crack this baby open and see how she looks inside. Oh, it's crispy. Oh yeah, look at that. That deep red strawberry flavor with nothing in it except strawberries. You know, if we're gonna eat this stuff, we might as well take just a little bit of time to make something that's better than what you get in the box. And I think these Pop-Tarts absolutely fit that bill. Now, to save these, if you wanna have them through the week, chill them to room temperature, put them in a Ziploc bag or in a Tupperware container. And sometimes what I do if the frosting is a little bit soft still is I'll leave them on the cookie sheet, put the whole cookie sheet in the refrigerator and let that frosting firm up, and then put them in a Tupperware container. You can warm them in the microwave for 15 or 20 seconds. I wouldn't put these in the toaster, but if you have a toaster oven, you can put them in there and they'd be ready to go in no time. You'd feel a whole lot better about feeding this to your kids in the morning than those alternatives. So thanks so much for joining me for this junk food remake. You can watch another video in the series right here. I'll see you again soon. Bye.